What's going on, everyone? We're out here with Jacob. Jacob is the guy that if he stands up right now and he shows you his chair, you're gonna see that he's sitting on over $40 million in generated revenue for his for his 8 to 9 figure DTC brands. What's going on, Jacob?
What's good? What's good? I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Well, we're happy to have you, to be honest. We've been planning to do that for the last couple of months, but finally we're here. Jacob, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely happily. I'm the CEO, founder of Shivuk. We are e-commerce specific CRO landing page agency. We built over 250 sales funnels. Like Jimmy said over here, over $40 million of incremental revenue generated for our clients. We've done a lot of great stuff, worked with a lot of interesting people, but we're just here to help.
I love that last line. You're here to help, which is the most important part in the entrepreneurial space, right? So, for how long have you been in the space, by the way?
It's been a bit over 5 years, other than, of course, all of our maybe 2016 drop shipping attempts.
Yeah, you started off drop shipping.
I'm talking about like way back in the day when, YouTube and
Damn,
that whole
you
thing.
were
Yeah.
selling the glowy bowls, maybe.
The first thing I ever tried to sell was a bar, like a bar light, some stupid thing that lit up bars with cocktails.
Damn, which costs like 10 cents, maybe. And Jacob was selling it for like $50.
Yeah, there you go.
99% profit margins. And yeah, so let's walk through your story. Like you started off drop shipping, and how'd you end up in the agency space?
Yeah, fair enough. So, no, to be fair, I had zero success with drop shipping. So it was a concept.
Damn,
It was but it was
bro
a
is
connection to
honest.
e-commerce. It was that's where I'm going with that. Yeah, definitely. Lots of little entrepreneurial endeavors. We had a couple businesses in Africa, actually, at one point, Uganda, South Sudan, some stuff we tried to start up.
In Africa.
Totally different, not e-com, very hands-on type of stuff.
No,
Importing things into South Sudan and whatever. It was an attempt, a failed attempt.
until he
Every
got caught
yeah.
smuggling some goods.
Gold and diamonds. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it started there. I think every entrepreneur has to have their failed attempts, and then became a growth marketer. After a bunch of other eBay, Amazon arbitrage type of stuff.
Hmm.
Became a growth marketer at a company called Voice 123. Still have a lot of good stuff to say about those guys. Remote. First time I ever worked remote, so that was a great experience too.
How
And
many
then
years was that ago? Like, when was that?
this was in 2017, I want to say 2018, around
Oh,
then.
almost 10 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, it was a while back. I was with them for about a year and a half, and yeah, that was a one of the hardest jobs I've ever had, I would say.
Hmm.
Just those guys they do things the right way, and that's what made it difficult.
And once you started with the 123 voice, was it called?
Voice 123, yeah.
The voice 123. Once you started with them, that was your first official like remote work, right?
That was the first, yeah, that was my first official remote work. Yeah.
That was before or after the drop shipping?
This was after. This was after. All of the other stuff I had done prior. I mean,
Hmm.
I was selling signed basketballs when I was 13. But
Nice. So you're
just
a fan
yeah.
of Kobe, I'm guessing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, of course. I could tell you the cars that all the Chicago Bulls players were driving out with
Nah.
back in the day.
Oof. So you were that involved in the basketball space, right?
Yeah, basketball, just trying to make a buck, you know what I mean, as a kid, just trying to figure
Just
out
like
stuff.
any other kid. Yeah, like I hear a lot of crazy stories on how people started selling online. And it was like some people start off with like lemonade or like cleaning houses or like you hear some really amazing stories once you're in the space. And
Yeah.
Jacob, like following the Voice 123 company, how many years did you actually work with them?
So with them, I worked with them for about a year and a half, and was just focused on everything, ads. Like I didn't know where to focus. Decided to take more of a CRO approach. Got a lot of mentorship. Built a little framework around it.
And what did they offer as an agency? Was it all CRO?
No, so Voice 123 is not even an agency, just they're a voiceover. It's like a Airbnb for voiceover talent.
Oh, okay, so it was really niche. But
Very,
I'm
very
still
niche.
kind of, it's not confused, but I'm kind of lost here. Like, how did you end up from Uganda to voiceover Airbnb? I don't know what's the business model, to CRO and landing pages for 8 to 9 figure brands.
That's a
There's
great
something
question.
missing in this story.
There is something missing. Yeah, definitely. I would say that, I started, I lost that job at some point in 2019 or so, and immediately went on to Upwork, started
How'd you
to,
lose it? I feel like there's a story behind it.
there's a story. There's a
Yeah,
story.
you gotta say it, buddy. We don't keep
Yeah,
secrets over here.
fair enough. But I don't feel too bad about it to be true. So
Did you prank your boss or like what happened?
yeah, I sent him some, a pile of, what to his doorstep. Not kidding. No. It just, to be honest, it was like my whole role was about bringing clients and clients and clients to buy
Hmm.
voiceovers, and they didn't have a model to monetize that whatsoever. So it was like I was bringing in people, but they didn't make money off of those people. So it's like, how can you ROI?
Hmm.
Obviously there's no ROI, and
So
then
you
I
were
don't have
strong
to
on
do.
acquisition, but retention and basically LTV was very low. So they didn't really know how to maximize their return,
They
right?
purposefully didn't monetize even that. It's like they monetized the other side of the platform and not that one. So it's just like
Damn. Now
it
that's
was.
definitely a story that I wouldn't want to hear.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was
following
definitely
that, what happened?
interesting. Yeah. So just went to Upwork, started to kind of sell myself as a freelance conversion rate guy. Saw really fast, maybe like 3 weeks in, I was like, oh, there's a major focus on e-commerce here. I'll just dive into it. Had the eBay, Amazon drop shipping stuff in the
Hmm.
back, so connected with that. I liked also that everything was proven with money. Dollars and cents
Exactly.
showed whether things worked or didn't work, and then just kept going into that. I did it for about 3 years. As is, very traditional. I mean, built an agent, built an agency, built a team, didn't have enough demand to sustain it, had to go back to a one-man show, did that for another year. So around
For like one
2023,
whole year on your own?
I spent a year of like in between where I am now with my team to a previous team that I had with a previous service I was offering, still in CRO. There was about a year in between where I was just totally solo, and I was like, I had enough of trying to do the big thing. We just got to focus on the revenue generation and also helping our clients.
Nice.
And I felt like I built a system. I think you can know where I'm coming from in this. Built a
For
system,
sure.
but in the end of the day, that system wasn't producing the results that are aligned with my values. And that was
From a fulfillment perspective,
from a fulfillment perspective. Yeah, I
you
felt like we
mentioned
were doing.
values earlier. What about that?
I am there's two things that I care a lot about when it comes to fulfillment. One is I have a very aggressive mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like anything that I don't want to do a work on anything unless I can see myself that that's something that's scalable. People we talk to might not know it,
Mm.
obviously. Like they might not be able to see to the depths of what I'm looking at, but I'm not going to create something if I believe that it's going to be capped very, very early, because that's not,
Mm.
in my opinion, is not responsible. So aggressive growth, which is what I'm all about. It's all over our website. I say it everywhere.
Yeah, I see that a lot in your branding when it comes to your own self and on your business profile as well.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Speaking of like starting out and jumping on that journey, tell us about your first client. Did you actually nail the job or did you bomb the fuck out of it?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, my first client was a CRO agency. I was like doing work for them basically.
White label. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was straight white labeling. I would say looking back at it, I mean, I did what I consider to be amazing work, but today I would call that work complete trash.
Okay, but at least you didn't bomb it, right?
No,
Like
I
it
didn't
was
bomb
good.
it. Yeah. It was like doing a CRO audit. It was like a 50-page PDF. I went into every freaking little detail. I'm really, really detail oriented. So it's like I just went into every single detail, and I think I did a great job. And I don't know. I don't even know what the results were. You see how like misaligned I was
Mm.
with reality. It's like,
Yeah. Well,
what's the
yeah, like
point?
everyone has their first, right?
Yeah, of course,
And
of
in your
course.
opinion, like since you've been in the space for almost half a decade, what do you feel like differentiates you as opposed to all the other CRO agencies, whether on Twitter or on Fiverr or Upwork or like anyone else in the space?
Yeah, sure. So I have a very clear answer on this one.
Values and
And
aggressive mindset.
well, it is a lot of that. It is a lot of that, but I would say that it's more the focus. So I'm sure you get it sometimes. I don't know, maybe you have an ecom brand. I don't think you do. But in any case, there you go.
Sometimes we keep secrets on the podcast.
All right, there you go. Don't share. People probably ask you all the time, or I don't know, at least they ask me. They ask me all the time, oh, why don't you start an e-commerce brand? Also, you know so much, this, that. And I'm a man of
I
focus.
hate that question.
I'm a man of focus. I don't try to crush two things all at the same time. It's too difficult to do with just one. So, to focus on two different things at the same time, in my opinion, it's burning yourself too thin. So, first of all, I apply that though, not just in the selection of business that I personally operate, but just in everything that we do. So, we treat CRO as what do you need to focus on that's going to move the needle most, and ignore everything else.
Love that.
And to me, that's our differentiator, is that there's so much fluff because it sounds good and because there's lack of education, which makes my job as a person who has to sell what we do much more difficult because I need to educate every single time I get on the call. But I'm happy to do it because I know it's for the greater good.
And why we feel like that happens, like you see a lot of e-commerce brand owners, they hate agencies in general. Like, well, what do you think about that?
I mean, I get it. I completely get it. Man, I get like 40 cold emails myself. So I get it.
Damn. Oof.
So yeah, I think it's inevitable. Every single service based, there's always going to be the newbies that want to, fake it till you make it. We were all there once too, so I get it. I don't even say, I have nothing bad to say about those guys. They're in the back. I mean, I flew past them at this point. So you guys
Like,
go
see
enjoy.
ya. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You enjoy doing your thing. I know what I'm here for. I know what our mission is, our values, and I just preach that, and that's all I care about.
Gotcha. And if we were to dive into, like, you gotta right now dive into the technical part of things, into the technical side of things. If we were to drop a masterclass right now, a complete CRO masterclass, what do you feel like? Or wait, let me rephrase that. Let's assume you currently have a brand, which you mentioned that you don't have. Like, let's assume you have a brand making 100K in MRR, and you want to scale all the way to 500,000, 500K. Without increasing ad spend, you cannot really change much. All you gotta do is offers, copywriting, and everything related to CRO. Can you walk me through the step-by-step process you would personally apply to get there?
Definitely. So at a high level here, we do this exact same thing in multiple phases. We have 3 different phases. Each one, let's say, indicates what to do for the next one, and obviously they get bigger and bigger as they go. But phase 1 is all about funnel format. So we would test a listicle
All right, I'm
advertorial.
sorry to interrupt you, bro. I'm gonna repeat the question, and I need some energy, okay? Because those clips are gonna be repurposed. So do you
Okay,
wanna
okay,
be
let's
like,
go.
no? No, you don't wanna be that.
Okay, okay, good,
Okay?
good, good.
So, for example, like there are 3 stages. We first start off with this, that. Like you know how it goes.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we were to dive into the technical side of things, let's assume right now I give you like a case study. You have an e-commerce brand doing 100K in MRR. You want to scale it all the way to 3K without increasing ad spend. Walk me through your step-by-step CRO process of how you were gonna personally do it.
Love it. All right, let's do this. So, first of all, give me a nice case study here, examples. Let's do it.
Let's
So,
go.
look, the way that we go about this is that we would do 3 different phases. The first phase is all about what funnel format is going to work best for you. We
Mm.
usually test in our playbook. We got a listicle, we got an advertorial, we got a sales page. They're all very, very different from one another, and it's on purpose because we
Mm-hmm.
want to see which one of those is going to be best. Once we figure out which one of those is best, A/B testing, all this type of stuff, then we go into the actual structure. You can have one listicle be a complete winner, but what if a different structure is a much bigger winner than the previous one? So we're leaning, each time you go at it, you're trying to beat the thing that you just did, which had a
Mm.
massive improvement on what was originally there. And
Yeah.
after you go through that, then you do a lot of angle testing, and then we get into other stuff like price testing and phase 3 and offer testing and shipping price testing and scarcity and urgency testing and bundle testing and checkout testing. And then you get back to the phase 1 because lots of time has passed and you've already hit your 500K.
So I think what you're trying to say is testing, maybe. I'm not sure.
Maybe,
Maybe. Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, exactly.
Lots and lots of testing, but not any testing. Test the things that are important. That's the key thing. That's the key thing.
And how do you come to the conclusion of, yeah, that's important to test in CRO?
Experience. That's the best like
Okay, so there isn't like a
that's the
playbook
secret.
for that.
Exactly. Yeah, you could spend just knowing because when you do lots of testing on things that aren't important, you see that the impact isn't there, then you start to understand what is important.
Gotcha. So it's after you burn your fingers, basically.
You got to. There's no way. There's no way around it. You can't beat
And
time.
speaking of
Time.
like burning fingers, what do you feel like most e-commerce brands do wrong when it comes to landing pages in CRO?
Ooh, that's good. Wow. So a lot of them build landing pages because someone on Twitter said to build landing pages. There's zero strategy.
The
They
story
don't
of the agency space. Yeah, tell me about it.
Like no thought process, no actual strategy. Like what's the actual plan? What's your messaging? Why do you even build? What is a landing page? What's the purpose of it? It's all about marketing communication. And that's what makes landing pages perform well for the brands that succeed with them because they know how to communicate the message in a very effective way. And it happens to be on a landing page where there's complete isolated communication. And that's when you win.
I'm not gonna lie, you got me when you said someone on Twitter said that, so they be like, yeah, that's the ultimate truth. I'm gonna go right and do it. But yeah, that sucks to be honest. There are a lot of I think most people in the space they suffer from one major problem, which is they do not filter the information that they consume.
Wow, so true. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's assume, okay, I see a lot of people in the space, they don't really focus on CRO when they're first starting or when they're like making 20, 30 grand a month. Do you feel like that's something they should keep on doing? Like, yeah, get more traffic and then worry about conversion rate later? Or not really?
I think that you should, even before you get started, you need to come in with a very, very good funnel strategy. And when I say this on my sales calls, by the way, funnel strategy is like a puzzle.
Mm,
When it comes to ads, the landing pages, email, those are the puzzle pieces. Most brands attack it by just focusing on the puzzle piece. They don't have any puzzle. And they can do quite well. So when it comes to starting out, even 20, 30K a month, I don't care if it's 20, 30K or even if they're at zero, before they get started and before they want to really ramp up, you need to have an actual funnel strategy. So the way that I see this is the funnel strategy is the puzzle and ads, add creative, landing pages, email and SMS. These
they're
are
the
the puzzle
pieces.
pieces. Those are the puzzle pieces. But without the puzzle, you're just doing what everyone else is doing because it's very tactical. There's no strategy behind it. So from
Exactly.
what I see, the missing piece is the strategy. We happen to offer a landing page service, but what we're really good at is actually the strategy.
Gotcha. So for anyone listening or for anyone watching, if you're doing below 50K, 20K, 10K, or even if you haven't done any money yet, what Jacob is telling you right now is you should always have a funnel strategy. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a puzzle to build. And ultimately, you cannot really succeed. Is that right?
Definitely, definitely. I think it's Alex Becker. We all know him as the old school. Yeah, he's high
Yeah,
rise.
the real ones would know. The real ones would
Yeah,
know.
exactly, exactly. I just saw a video of his. He says the exact same thing. It's like he took it out of my mouth. Not talking about the puzzle and puzzle pieces, but he literally just said the exact same thing. Figure out who you're actually marketing to. Communicate to them from a perspective of what are their problems. Don't think about you and your product. No one gives a no one cares.
Exactly.
No one cares about your product. They care about how it's going to help them.
Look, a long time ago, I used to sell to people who weren't really educated on the space, okay? So they're not like e-commerce brands or anything. So I always used to explain to them that literally any form of marketing is about two things. You, your brand, your product, and them, their problems, their pains, their desires. It's about you reaching out to your customers, to your ICP.
Mm.
And there's a gap between you two. So it's only a matter of bridging this gap through your marketing messaging. And that's ultimately how you make more sales. What do you think about that? Is it too simple to put it into words, in your opinion?
No, I think that is right on point. I'd agree with it 100%. And I think the reason why 99%, at least from what I see, 99% don't actually follow that is because that's more boring to think about than watching a YouTube video about an advertising tactic and then just starting to test some of that stuff out.
Exactly. Thank you. A lot of people are no longer doing the boring work, which is literally what got everyone into where they are, if they're in a good place, of course.
And you can agree with me that it's really not that hard. Like it's not even that complex to put together. It really isn't.
Exactly, exactly. Jacob, when I think of CRO and landing pages agencies, I think of mini Alex Hormozis when it comes to offer creation. So how true is that?
Yeah, that's a really solid question. So we usually focus on offer testing a little bit further down the line because typically who's going to buy your offer is the person who's already very, very convinced of the perceived value that they're going to get, right?
Hmm,
So if they believe that there's a lot of value in what you're offering them, then the offer is going to get them over the fence, especially if you add scarcity, urgency, and all those other tactics. So on the other hand, if you have a bad offer, that's just not going to attract anyone. So, absolutely, mini Alex Hormozy, I love that. We're definitely involved in coming up with some offers, but at the same time, even if you go with something that is like, let's say, fairly well-known offer, even if it's like a 20% off, plus get a free gift, or something that is used quite often, if you do a very, very good job at driving up the perceived value of what you're selling, and the likelihood of achievement, like Alex Hormozy says. If someone
exactly.
really believes that the product that you're selling is going to solve the problem for them, the offer doesn't even have to be the absolute best offer in the
Hmm,
marketplace.
gotcha. And there's some look, I hosted someone a couple of weeks back, and we were talking about how the space is really fucked up due to like look, as much as offers are amazing, but at the same time, a lot of brands and agencies fucked up the system by giving out like extreme offers, like too good to be true.
Yeah.
So the customers, on the other hand, right now, as we speak, they have a lot of high expectations. So do you feel like that's a good thing when it comes to, I don't know, economically, like that's a good thing because competition is increasing, so you just gotta perform better and more? Or do you feel like that's just fucked up?
Yeah. I think that anyone who's using a too good to be true offer is probably not selling something that's great in most cases. And I just think that time will tell. I guess that's the easiest way for me to say.
So Jacob was like, I was like, what do you think, Jacob? Like, it's this, and that. And Jacob was like, time will tell. That wise man phrase. But why do you feel like time will tell? What if it's information that's gonna tell?
I
What if
think
there isn't even a metric to evaluate?
Yeah, sure. If you take a cohort, like I've been in the game 5 years, right? So if I look at my cohort of people who started at the same time as me all up until today, there have
Mm-hmm.
been so many people that have tried to come in the game, have left the game. They were in the game prior to me, they left the game. Like there's so much movement. There's a lot of traffic, right? If you have a great car, you'll actually get to the destination. If you have a decent car, you'll burn 2, 3 years of that, but you're not going to get to the destination because it's not going to last you. So I don't really care what the offer is. In the end of the day, if you do a great job and you can tell great stories and you have case studies behind the work that you've done, in most cases, that's sufficient. That's enough.
Look, as much as I agree with you and I really like what you said, but at the same time, a lot of brands come to us. They wanna, let's assume they're getting ROAS of 3. They wanna get to ROAS of 4, but at the same time, while telling you that, hey, don't run BOGO offers, don't run like really good offers, because I don't want to dilute the brand. But they've already diluted the brand for the past couple of years, and their customers have been really used to just like the cool offers. So, do you feel like there's a way to go back from there?
Ooh,
Or is it
that's
just the permanent,
good.
like it's a stamp?
Yeah, I have a specific client in my head that we worked with for like 3.5 years,
Yeah.
and that was the exact problem that they faced.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, it was very much that. It started out, they didn't do discounting and that, they did a little here and there for the holidays, and then it just became this thing that whenever they needed a boost of revenue, they'd activate the
Yeah,
offer.
like when the
And then
founder wants to go on vacation or something. Yeah.
exactly. And then when revenue just wasn't there, then they had to really keep the offer active all the time. And yeah, I think that it completely devalues the brand at some point and definitely makes the customer just kind of expect it and wait for it or, just
Yeah, but do you
take
think
advantage
there's a way, like that was the
to
second
go
part of
back.
my question. Is there a way to go back in your opinion?
There is a way, but it's a very rocky road, but I do believe that there is a way.
Rocky Road. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think that going back from a situation like that is very similar to starting what you're doing from scratch to a certain degree. Because if
But
you're
what about the
relying,
older brands like that have been operating for 10 years, 7 years, 5 years?
if they've been operating for such a long time and doing it based off of like one specific offer, I also have another brand in mind that had like a $9 offer that they ran for like 3 years straight, was getting them all
Damn.
their customers. You could imagine though at a $9 offer, CPAs are probably higher than that $9. Like they wouldn't make money right
How
away.
much were they making?
The like top line revenue,
Yeah.
they did over $1 million a month. So they were a successful brand.
Damn.
They were selling like a nutrition kit. It was $9, and they got like, tons of stuff. You got a bunch of like the powder, the nutrition powder, and you got like a cup, and you got a $25 gift card and all this other stuff. So it was a too good to be true offer. Got them a lot of customers, which is great. How do where do you go from there? So if looking at it in two ways, first of all, is it working anymore? In their case, it was an offer for acquisition purposes.
Yeah. I wanted to tell you, like, let me guess. They had a really strong upsell game.
That is strong what? Upsell?
Yeah, upsell game.
It was a subscription product, so it did, yeah, they did, enjoy the LTV from that for sure.
Yeah. So they wouldn't mind breaking even or not or even losing on their acquisition, but on the flip side or like on the upside, they're gonna be making a lot of money because they're subscription based.
Exactly. I think that was the mentality of a lot of people running ads about 3 years ago, and then about 1.5 years ago, I've noticed a lot more people saying like break even is not enough, and we actually have to be profitable on the first order. That's just a general shift that I've noticed. But to answer your question, I think that it still requires like that brand, for example. I think that they have to come up with a completely new offer. that is profitable from the first order. They need to look at it like from scratch basically and figure it out again as they did initially, but at least now they have capital to do that.
And speaking of offers, Jacob, like let's assume you were stripped away from all your cards, every single offer you can name, and you only had to choose one that you can run for yourself or for your clients. What would you choose?
It's a good one. I am a really big fan of
Mm,
free gift cards,
gift cards. Why?
because there is no cost to give them out up front,
Mm-hmm.
and it drives someone to come back to make a repurchase with you.
Nice. That's a solid answer. I didn't expect that, by the way. I thought you would choose something like, I don't know, like 15% off because it's so traditional and everyone's used to it and it would work. But you thought about how to get them back, which is really important.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah, profit.
And Jacob, right now, like we're talking about all the good stuff, the offers, top line revenue, and stuff like that. I don't want to keep on doing that. I want to go back in time. It might be one day ago. It might be 6 months ago, 6 years ago. I don't know. Like your lowest point in the entrepreneurial space. Do you remember that day?
Yeah, definitely remember that day. I remember.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, yeah. Wife was pregnant with our first kid,
Mm-hmm.
first daughter. She was about 3 months pregnant, and I realized that my own little affiliate marketing, trying to make money, was not going to make the money that we needed to live off of. And I went to a job interview and
mm,
almost took this job. It was a foot sales job to try to sell spots on a digital magazine.
damn.
And let's just say the pay was embarrassingly low. And the upside,
How
the
low?
bonuses, how low was it? I think it was like a full time for like $1,200 a month.
Damn. Damn. Yeah.
And on top of that, it was the bonus structure wasn't even that. First of all, I'm not a foot sales guy. Like, I mean, I could be if I trained myself to be, but I
Yeah,
don't
for
think
sure.
not my nature whatsoever. So I just didn't see that going anywhere. I was really fortunate that a few months later, so I turned that job down. There was another job I almost took, which was a little bit better, but not that much better. And I actually had signed a contract to start working for this one individual, let's say January 1st, and we're December 10th.
Mm,
I got and the only reason I didn't start earlier with the guy on January 1st is because that guy was traveling for 3 weeks and didn't want to start me earlier. During those three
okay.
weeks, there was Voice123 who got back to me. And I had submitted a resume 4 months prior and I didn't hear anything from them. And suddenly they send me an email and they
Damn.
say, "We'd love to interview you." To me, I thought it was like one of those automated emails. I didn't even think it was
Yeah.
really people. And they offered me to do an interview. We did 3 interviews in 3 days. I did a 24-hour online test. I invested my own money in some ads to try to
Wait.
prove to them.
24 hours.
This is crazy stuff. A 24-hour test online where they told me that I can't remember what it was exactly. I need to like hit some certain out, maybe like get a certain number of likes or followers on an Instagram account or something.
Yeah.
It was creative. And so, and to also document every single step that I took along the way of trying to do it.
That's some long ass SOP. Right.
Oh my gosh. And there was no GPT back in this day. Like this was like me being purely manual. So
Yeah. I
So I
can
got that
imagine.
job. It changed everything. I had to cancel the contract, and that paid much better. I got to be at home with my newborn, and also it just was like a game changer for me, honestly.
Awesome, man. I'm really happy that things turned out to be in your favor at the end, which is why we're here, right?
I guess so.
Like, I wouldn't want to interview a guy making $1,200 a month. I'm just kidding.
Maybe I had a different story to tell you, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to ask you, for how long have you been married?
Ah, very nice. We actually don't even count our marriage. We look back at when we started dating. That's our anniversary.
Mm,
And it's been almost 14 years. June 17, it's going to be
14
14 years.
years. So you do count your anniversary. Anyway, 14 years. And how old are you now?
I'm 32, almost 33. We met when I was
So,
18 and she was 17.
damn, high school lovers.
Yeah,
Was it the
yeah, yeah.
case?
No, not high school, but we just met randomly at a street party, actually. Very random.
Like, in the past 14 years, like right now, you were telling me about your possibly last 7, 8, 10 years. Add on top of that, double this amount. Like, your wife, I've seen you in all stages, right?
Oh yeah.
And this makes me ask you like a very genuine question. You see a lot of those people on YouTube, dating coaches, I don't know, people on Twitter, like don't get married until you're 30 or 35 or I don't know, or until you make it. What's your take on that? for someone who has been married for 14 years?
I love that question. I'm going to add on to that even one extra layer
Yeah.
of
Yeah, yeah,
having
feel free.
children, of having
Yeah,
children also.
exactly.
It's another layer. I'm going to tell you that to me, I owe at least 50% of my success to my wife, if not more than that. It's the biggest fan that is in your corner at all times, if they are the right person, of course. It's their biggest fan that's going to push you forward. If they know you well, they know your weaknesses, your strengths. They will push you and push you and push you, inspire you, remind you of the things that you forget. Focus on your strengths. And I really like it would be, I just don't see, I could see myself being successful without my wife, but not to have this type of vision, not to be even as successful as we are today. On top of that, with kids, every single, I have two, each one has brought their own set of luck. I don't know what you want to call it, magic,
Love
but
that,
it's
bro.
like, it just inspires and it pushes you. It's like going from a boy to a man, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Was it after marriage? Like the boy to man, is it after marriage in your opinion, or is it after having the kids?
I think it's the kids because of the responsibility that you now have. Now you're a family. Now you have to provide. You have
Imagine
that.
being responsible for a full or for a full human being.
Yeah.
That came because of you, like in a sense, of course,
Yeah.
glory be to God, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Also, I'll add on to this to say that proudly, my wife doesn't work, and we're very proud of that. And not, it's not from a financial perspective that we're proud of that. We're proud of that because it also is a degree of focus and mindset. She's able to take care of so much stuff around the house
Exactly.
that we could not give responsibility to do those things to anyone else but my wife, who shares our same goals.
Exactly. I I share the exact same viewpoint on that. That once I get married, I don't really need my wife to be working. Her entire focus should be, of course, herself, but at the same time, myself and the kids. Because who else is gonna raise them, right?
Yeah. It's like sounds old school to people, but it's not about old school, new school. It doesn't matter. It's like, how do you be the
Exactly,
best
bro.
team? How do you be the best team? That's all it is.
For real, one of the most things that I like about you, and I respect them as well, is your ability to simplify things. Like who cares at the end of the day, unless it's the thing that matters. So yeah, that's something that I really like about Jacob. So Jacob, we learned a lot from you. I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, I said you could talk to my psychologist about that.
Yeah, for sure. So we really learned a lot from you today, Jacob,
Cool.
and we learned about offers, about CRO, about landing pages, about what to do, what not to do, about your journey. I also learned that I should get a girlfriend. You got me like emotional in a way. So
Good.
yeah, I think I should get a girlfriend maybe. I don't know.
Game changer, my man.
Yeah, I'll let you know what happens. So that's it, guys. Hope you really enjoyed it and you found it as insightful the way I did. Jacob, any last words?
Honestly, no, I just want to thank you. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope that this helps as many people as possible.
Likewise, brother. See ya.
Peace.